Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today I'm here to make my 2023 starting point guard tier list. I divide the tiers into MVP candidate, All-NBA, All-Star, Fringe All-Star, Good, Decent, and Meh. There are 7 categories because I believe a lot of these guys are really close. This is one of the best pools of guard talent we've had in the league maybe ever, especially amongst young guards. As you'll see in this video, there's going to be a lot more guys towards the top than towards the bottom. So there are also going to be some guys in tiers with each other where you're like, oh, that guy's clearly better than that one, but maybe he just doesn't quite meet the next tier. Guys are not ranked within tiers. This is not a 1 through 30. I'm just putting them on a tier. This is my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. And even when I finish this, I'm sure I'm not going to be positive about most of them. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Starting off with Chris Paul, I'm going to put him in the All-Star tier. He could still make an All-NBA team, but I think it's much more safe that he'll be an All-Star. He's 38 years old. I think he's going to take a bit more of a back seat this upcoming season offensively, so I'm going to put him in the All-Star tier, knowing Chris Paul. It's very possible he makes All-NBA still because he's that impactful of a player, but I think playing it safe in All-Star is the way to go. Next up, we got Jalen Brunson, who I'm going to put in Fringe All-Star for now. There's a chance I move him down to Good, but I think Fringe All-Star is a good spot for the moment. If he plays really well and the Knicks start to kind of pop off, beginning of the season, first half of the year, they're in the playoff hunt. I think he could get some All-Star buzz, which for me is what I define as a Fringe All-Star. He could make it, he could not. He'll at least be in consideration. If he's playing up to the caliber I think he can. Next up, we've got Trae Young, one of the best offensive point guards in the league, probably the best. Second best offensive point guard in the league behind third best maybe. He's up there in the top 3 at least. Trae Young is one of the best playmakers in the league. He'll shoot from the logo, dominant offensively. Defense is another story, but I'm excited to see how he plays with DeJounte this upcoming season. He's an All-NBA guy. He will be an All-NBA almost every single year as long as he stays healthy for the rest of his career. Next up, we've got John Morant, who is also on that All-NBA tier for me. He was in a little bit of MVP conversation part of this season, but I think he's still kind of on the same tier as Trae Young. I think those two are pretty close. He's a guy that is going to, go out, get you buckets, make highlight plays left and right. And as he continues to rise, maybe the Grizzlies have a great year and he does end up in serious MVP conversations and maybe he moves up. But for right now, I have him All-NBA. Next, we've got LaMelo Ball, who I'm going to put an All-Star. He made All-Star last year. I think he could make it again for the Hornets, although I think the Hornets are going to be pretty bad, to be honest. So maybe he won't. Maybe there are going to be other guards on better teams that take his spot, but he's going to be an All-Star consideration nonetheless. Next up for Tyrese Halliburton. I've been kind of back and forth whether he's Fringe All-Star or Good. I'm going to put him Good for right now. It's a big question mark of how he plays with this roster. He's going to have a lot more opportunities. So does he take advantage of that and score more? Or is he just kind of focusing more on playmaking? Will he be like a 20 and 10 guy? Or will he kind of be like a 17 and like 10? It's splitting hairs whether he's Good or Fringe All-Star. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how good the Pacers are. Maybe we come back to him, but I'm going to put him in Good for right now. Next, we've got Josh Primo, who knows who the Spurs are going to start at point guard, but he seems like a guy who could definitely get some run there. I'm going to put him in Meh. He's a player I like a lot, but he's still really young. He's one of the youngest players in the league, despite heading into his second season. He's only 20. He's probably going to have a pretty rough year, but I'm excited to see what he's capable of. Cade Cunningham, I'm going to put him in Fringe All-Star. I think Cade's going to be in those conversations. Once again, I think it's a matter of how good the Pistons are, but I think Cade Cunningham is going to quickly establish himself amongst the All-Star conversations very fast. He was so good in the second half of the year. Now that he's got some better players around him this upcoming season, or I guess they did lose Jeremy Grant, but he's got like Jaden Ivey in the backcourt with him. Jalen Duren gives him a pretty nice lob threat. Isaiah Stewart looks better. Sadiq Bey had a 50-point game last year. He's going to get better. I think Cade is going to elevate his team a lot. Next, we've got Mike Conley, who I'm going to put in decent, I think, for right now. He was not great last season. He's a guy who is, up there in age. I just, we don't even know if he's going to be on the Jazz or be their starting point guard this upcoming season. He could definitely get moved. He was fine last year, but nothing special. Drew Holiday is an all-star caliber guy. I think he could have been an all-star this past year for the Bucks, but Chris Middleton got that second Bucks nod. One of the best guard defenders in the league. He's a guy that can go out, make the big plays for you, good playmaker. He can shoot. He can do a little bit of everything. I feel like Drew Holiday's really gotten his flowers as of recently, and I think that's awesome. Next up, we've got John Wall, who I'm going to put in decent. John Wall is a guy who I don't expect to do much for the Clippers. I think he's just going to go out, score around 12, 13 points per game, give them 6, 7 assists, and that'll be pretty much all they need him to do. I don't expect him to come back and be the John Wall of old. I think he's kind of going to take a new role in his older age after dealing with so many injuries, and I think that's probably what the Clippers need. Next, we've got Damian Lillard. He's All-NBA. He had a down year last year, but I think after a year off of kind of rehabbing that core injury, I believe it was, that's been bothering him, he's going to have a really good season. He's going to be huge for the Portland Trailblazers. If they were really good, maybe he could be an MVP candidate, but I see him as more of an All-NBA guy. Same with Kyrie Irving. I think he is also All-NBA. We don't even know if he's going to be on the Brooklyn Nets and be their starting point guard, but wherever he goes, he will be a starting point guard, whether it's, with the Lakers or some other team. The Heat are rumored to still have interest in him. Kyrie Irving is a guy who's going to, despite all the drama, play some incredible basketball. If this was a list ranking guys with locker room issues, he might not be this high, but in terms of basketball talent, Kyrie's one of the best in the league. Then we get to Lonzo Ball, who I'm going to put in good for right now. I think that's a good spot for him. Good spot. Ignore that joke. Lonzo Ball is really solid. He was the engine behind that Bulls team. I'm a little worried about his injury and how much he's actually going to be able to play, but I think that Lonzo Ball, when healthy, is a really solid guard. Next, we've got Darius Garland, who I'm going to put in All-Star. I think he could definitely enter All-NBA conversation soon, especially if the Cavs kind of make some leaps. But for right now, I feel like he's a tier below the guys like Kyrie, Ja Morant, Trae Young, Damian Lillard, guys like that. Jamal Murray, I'm going to put in fringe All-Star right now. I'm a little worried about him coming back from injury. If he plays like the player he was pre-injury, I think this is a pretty good spot, or might even be a little too low. Could put him in an All-Star caliber player, but he's coming off of not playing basketball for a year, so I think it might take him some time to get going. Maybe by the end of the season, he'll be back to that player, but for right now, I'm going to put him in fringe All-Star. Then we get to Marcus Smart, who's tough because I don't think he's really going to get much All-Star consideration, but he's really, really good. So I am going to put him in good for now. I think maybe that might be a little too low. This is part of where the organization of the tier list feels a little bit off to me, because I feel like he just won Defensive Player of the Year. He's huge for that team. But I do feel like in terms of the tiers that I've put together, this is where Marcus Smart should go. Fred VanVleet is an All-Star. We saw that this past season. Or no, he didn't make All-Star this past season. Did he? He did. Pascal Siakam didn't make it. Fred VanVleet did make the All-Star game this past year. Great defender, a guy that can knock down a ton of threes. He's going to score inside. He's going to do a little bit of everything for you, and he was a big reason why the Raptors were so good last year. Monte Morris is going to go probably in meh, I guess. I think he's a really solid guard. We'll see how he does for the Wizards, but I'm not expecting anything too crazy out of him. Luka Doncic is going to be our first MVP candidate. It's Luka. There's not much to say about Luka. He is one of the best offensive players in the league. He's made an All-NBA team every single year of his career except the first year where he won Rookie of the Year. He's already establishing himself as an all-time great. He'd probably be an NBA Hall of Famer if he retired. The only thing holding him back from being an MVP is his team. If he put up the numbers last season that he did and his team was a bit better, he had more talent, he would have been really in the thick of it in MVP conversations, and even then, he still was considered. It's Luka Doncic. Next, we've got Kevin Porter Jr., who I'm going to put in this decent tier. I think he's below guys like Tyrese, Lonzo, Marcus Smart, but he is still going to be really solid. I'm still not completely sold on him being a point guard. I'm excited to see that experiment continue and see how he and Jalen Green continue to kind of build off of each other, but I think he's in for a pretty fun year. Russell Westbrook, I'm going to put in decent for now. I think he could move up higher on this list, but just off the way we saw, I still don't think it's a good fit in Los Angeles. I don't like it. I'm a big Russ guy, if you know me, of course, as a Thunder fan. Russell Westbrook is my favorite Thunder player of all time. He's a guy that is going to play his heart out, but I just don't think he really fits on that roster. Maybe Darvin Ham, his game plan, it changes the way that he plays this upcoming season, but for right now, he's kind of struggled. Same with Kyle Lowry. He did not play well at all on the Heat. He really struggled, mainly to stay healthy. That was the big issue, and I think that hurt him a lot, so I'm going to put him in decent for right now. Both him and Russ, I think, could, move up. Same with a guy like Mike Conley. Maybe he has kind of a bounce-back year, but the way they played this past season, I'm going to leave them there. D'Angelo Russell, I'm going to put in the good tier. His really terrible playoff performance, I think, kind of overshadows what he did last season. He was really solid for them last year, decent defensively, pretty good playmaker. I think especially now with more talent around him, he's going to be even better. So I'm going to put him in good. Then we get to CJ McCollum, who I'm going to put in fringe all-star. CJ's a guy that if the Pelicans are good enough, playing the point guard for them this upcoming season, by the way, I think he's a guy that could maybe make a case for his first all-star appearance. I believe he's the highest average scorer in NBA history without an all-star nod, so maybe this is the year. Of course, he does have Ingram and Zion, who both could get nods over him, but if CJ is really good, the Pelicans are one of the top teams in the West heading into the all-star break, maybe he gets the nod. Then for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm going to put him in all-star. He hasn't made an all-star game yet, but a couple seasons ago, there was a lot of argument that he could have gotten a nod over Mike Conley, who got in as an injury replacement. The way he played in the second half of this past season, where he was averaging over 30 points per game, if he puts anything close to that together for the course of a first half of the year, then Shai's going to be deep in all-star conversations. Markelle Fultz, I'm going to put in good, I think. Now, this is a lot of speculation, but the way he was playing last season when he was healthy, he was really good. The problem was he didn't stay healthy, so it's a matter of that. But I do think he will start over Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs at the 1. And I think if he plays the way he did last season, he's going to have a really good year. James Harden, I still believe in him. I think he's going to put together an all-NBA caliber season. He's a guy that is going to have a pretty big bounce back year, in my opinion, alongside Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. They've now had a full offseason to put together some chemistry on that team, so I'm going to go with him in all-NBA. De'Aaron Fox, I think he's up. I'm going to put him in fringe all-star just because he kind of struggled a little bit last year. And, we still have to see how the fit of him and Domantas Sabonis works. I think he definitely could move up to all-star. There are a couple guys on this list that I'll cover in a second when we get to the end that I think could go up a tier or down a tier. But I'm going to put him in fringe all-star for right now. And then Steph Curry is, of course, an MVP candidate. I don't think there's much question there. Reigning finals MVP, he's phenomenal. He was the leader in the clubhouse for MVP for the first half of the season. He fell off a little bit at the end, and then the playoffs completely turned up. So this is my tier list. Let me take a look at it. I feel pretty good, at least about these top 2 spots. I think that's pretty good. Of course, there are 7 guards here and only 6 All-NBA spots, so, it's a matter of splitting hairs. I feel pretty good about this all-star tier. I think De'Aaron Fox could move up in. Same with Jamal Murray. If Cade Cunningham has a really good year, I think he could move up as well. Okay, so after doing some thinking, I think I'm going to move Jalen Brunson from fringe all-star to good, so I went ahead and did that. I just felt like he, was maybe a tier below like Jamal Murray, Cade Cunningham, CJ Fox. It just felt like those guys were a little bit above him in this moment. Maybe he plays great for the Knicks and establishes himself amongst those guys later, but for the moment, I just felt like he belonged more in this good tier. So I think I'm good with that. I'm going to leave it there. If you left me with this for 10 more minutes, there's a good chance I'd change more things, but so I'm not here for 30 minutes making this video. I'm gonna leave it as it is. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what I got right or what I got wrong. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of complaints on this video. I'd love to see the players that I rank kind of lower prove me wrong. It's one of my favorite things, is seeing guys go ahead and exceed my expectations. So hopefully most of these guys do. But for right now, that's all I've got for y'all. Like I said, comment down below. Let me know what I got right, what I got wrong. I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.